So I recently got a question from one of our great subscribers who was like, hey, I know you've talked about this before, but would you mind getting into what you think about visiting Walt Disney World in late 2025 into 2026? You know, like, is it worth it? Especially from the perspective of someone who has visited before and is likely to visit again. And you know what? Of course we can talk about that. That's why we're here. And this is a great time to have that discussion because the situation has kind of changed here at Walt Disney World. We've got a lot more information on a lot more stuff that's happening around the resort, and so that adds to the discussion. And look, I know some of you are working your fingers already. Seriously, again, you talked about this however long ago. That's right, but you gotta check in on things like this. The situation is fluid, so that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna share some of my thoughts with you when it comes to visiting Walt Disney World with all the work going on. And I wanna share some alternatives, like a little tidbit that I feel like people don't talk about all that often. So that's the plan for today. And we are starting at Disney Springs, but we're not going to be here for long. We're just passing through. We're going to make our way over to the boats and then take a boat to a resort that we're going to wander around. It was one of your suggestions, Port Orleans Riverside. Seems like a great place to spend some time and have this conversation. So what do you say? Let's get out of here. So as some of you are probably already well aware, the Walt Disney World Resort is undergoing a lot of work at the moment. I mean, there's everything that's going on at Magic Kingdom with Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America, and then everything that's going on elsewhere around the park. Buzz Lightyear's about to go down. The Cool Ship is still behind construction walls. Animal Kingdom has all that work happening at Dino Land, and that hasn't even fully closed yet either. And then Hollywood Studios with Grand Avenue, that's the Muppets area. And then there's also going to be work happening in Animation Courtyard. And the list goes on, assuming that nothing gets added to that list just for the theme parks. And we haven't even touched the resorts yet. There's a lot of work happening there as well. So much happening all around that I honestly am not going to sit here and recite the entire list to you because we'd be here all day. And you know, when you start to tally this up, it becomes very clear that the Walt Disney World Resort is going to look pretty different, not only later this year. I mean, it looks different now, but also in the coming years. There are going to be a lot of construction walls. There are definitely going to be less experiences because of attractions being closed, going down for maintenance, or being removed completely. By the way, just really quick, if you're wondering how we're getting to the boat, we're by Goofy's Candy Company, and if you walk the path between these two places, you'll end up here by the Art of Disney and the Christmas shop. If we keep walking this direction, we'll be able to exit Disney Springs, and then we'll make our way over to the left, and that's where we'll find the boats. Like I said, we're going there, so I'll show you the way. Anyway, as you might imagine, with all this going on, people are wondering, should I even visit the Walt Disney World Resort while all of this is happening? And it's a fantastic question. And truthfully, there isn't just one answer. There's a lot to consider. And I want to share some of those things to consider with you. But first, let's make our way onto the boat and head over to Port Orleans. So before we continue with our discussion today, let's just take a second to talk about this boat ride in case you're interested in doing this during your next Disney vacation. So of course, we picked up this boat at Disney Springs, and we have a few different options when it comes to destination. We're headed to Port Orleans Riverside today, but we could also go to Port Orleans French Quarter, Disney Saratoga Springs Resorts, or Disney's Old Key West Resort. Also, if you're headed to Saratoga Springs, there are two places you can catch the boat. One at the main resort, one at the Treehouse Villas. It's important to realize that this boat does not start running as soon as Disney Springs opens. It starts around 10:30, so that's something you're gonna wanna keep in mind. Now, I personally love this mode of transportation. It's not gonna be right for everyone. You know, if you get a little seasick on boats, then you might wanna prepare accordingly, and it does get a little warm. So be ready for some heat. Grab yourself a drink and drink on the way to wherever it is that you're headed. It's fun though. Almost like a little attraction in and of itself, you know? I love the music too. Great music on those boats. But okay, let's get back to our discussion. Like I said before we set out, there are a lot of things to keep in mind when deciding if visiting Walt Disney World in 2025 or late 2025 and into 2026 is going to be right for you. And we've talked about some of them before. But you know, at least in my opinion, there's such a fundamental part of the decision-making process that I want to take a second and mention them again. Number one is that if this is the only chance you have to visit the Walt Disney World Resort, it's now or never. For whatever reason, you should do it. And look, know that it's not going to be the full experience. There's no way around that. But if you adjust your expectations a little bit and keep in mind why you're here, to have an amazing time with your family, friends, or whoever you're traveling with, you can still have a great visit. And we're here to help you figure out exactly how to do that. Now, the second point that I want to touch on really quickly is that if you aren't in a situation where this is now or never, you really need to set your expectations reasonably if you decide to go through with a trip during this time frame. Again, it's not going to be the full experience. There's going to be a lot of construction. It's probably going to feel more crowded because there are more bottlenecks and more people shoved into smaller spaces. So know that going in. Is that something that you're willing to deal with, or is it something that's going to make you cranky and ruin your vacation? If it's going to make you cranky and ruin your vacation, maybe don't do it. Try something else. Maybe skip a year and have twice the vacation next year. Now, this is the part of our discussion where I would love to have like some fluid transition into the next point that I want to discuss with you. But I don't have that today. I don't know what to tell you. These aren't scripted. Sometimes I write notes, but this is what you get sometimes. So anyway, the thing that I want to talk about though, and really focus a lot of attention on today in particular, is that with all of this being said, Disney vacations aren't as like one size fits all as some people make them out to be. It's not like there's only one way to do Disney situation. I mean, this isn't just one place technically, right? We've got 4 theme parks, we've got 2 water parks, we've got Disney Springs, we have all the resorts, they all have their own things going on, you know, and that's not even counting all the extra activities that there are to do around the Walt Disney World Resort. We'll talk more about that here in a bit. But I think that part of this discussion that never gets talked about enough, which is why we're talking about it today, is that even if Disney is behind a ton of construction walls, like it will likely be over the next couple of years, there are plenty of ways to do Disney if this is a place that you really want to visit, you really love, or you feel comfortable taking your family to, because, you know, not every family is comfortable taking their family to far off places as some other families might be. There's nothing wrong with that. But if this is your comfort zone, this is where you want to be, this is what you want to do, there are ways to do that that look different from what some travel agents, Disney content creators, or other Disney fans and families might tell you a Disney vacation needs to look like. So let's talk about it. Let's brainstorm for a second. For the most part, I think when people think about a Disney vacation, especially when they think about like a traditional Disney vacation, if that even exists, it's like visiting 4 theme parks, staying on property. Some people stay off property, you know, whatever, you do you, but it usually includes the 4 theme parks. You can't not go to Magic Kingdom, right? Sure, it's only a half day, which I disagree with, but that's beside the point. But, you know, DAC has to be on the list of things to do. But how are you supposed to handle that when you don't want to go to Magic Kingdom and spend, you know, hundreds of dollars for your family to visit that park when half of it's behind construction walls? And the same can be said for, you know, Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios. There are so many other things that you can do. There are so many other ways that you can enjoy a Disney vacation, or rather a vacation at the Walt Disney World Resort. Maybe you just really enjoy the festivals. So you're like, hey, let's just get a ticket for Epcot. Enjoy whatever festival that's happening during the time that we're visiting. Maybe go see whatever concert series is happening. Something that I otherwise would have skipped because we would have moved on to another park. Maybe we would have been too tired because we had rope drop Magic Kingdom earlier. You know, that's how we always do our Epcot days. You could totally do that as part of your vacation at the Walt Disney World Resort, but skip Magic Kingdom. I know that sounds like blasphemy, but seriously, it's an option. You can skip Disney's Animal Kingdom and skip Hollywood Studios. You don't have to go to all 4 places. Seriously, you don't. You don't even have to go to the theme parks at all. You know, there are so many amazing Walt Disney World Resort hotels to explore here at the Walt Disney World Resort. I mean, that's what we're doing today. We spend a lot of time wandering around the resorts. And you don't just have to wander. You don't just have to eat. There are activities at a lot of these resorts as well. One that comes to mind, which I really loved, was available at Animal Kingdom Lodge. It not only kept us busy all day, but we had to go back in order to finish the activities. Like, there was so much to do, and it was just a great experience. I highly recommend checking that out. And the list of activities, free activities, I should probably be a little bit more specific, that happen at the resorts here at Walt Disney World, it goes on. And there are also paid activities too. They have some fun crafts that you can do. So you won't be bored, I'll tell you that. But it also goes beyond those free activities or little arts and crafts as well. There are a lot of other things that you can do here at the Walt Disney World Resort hotels that you might not even realize are available to you. For example, did you know that there are a number of golf courses here? at the Walt Disney World Resort. Some are located right at Walt Disney World Resort hotels, like at Saratoga Springs and Old Key West. There are also fishing excursions, fireworks cruises, there's miniature golf. Then, of course, there are some resorts that have like really extensive lists of activities. The Fort Wilderness campgrounds and cabins are a great example of this. There's so much going on over there. Quite frankly, I'd say that staying there can be a vacation in and of itself, if you're into that type of thing. Camping or an RV vacation isn't everyone's speed, though they do have the Disney Vacation Club cabins, which might be something you're interested in. And all of these things could, if you let them, fill an entire vacation without even having to step foot in one of the theme parks. Now, is that gonna be the right thing for everybody? You know, like, is everybody gonna want to come to Walt Disney World and not do the theme parks or to golf or whatever? No, and that's okay, but it is an option. Also, it occurred to me while I was soaking up some AC and rehydrating that they have the espresso croissant here that I had it when it first came out. It was absolutely delicious, so perfect excuse to eat something while we sit and cool off, right? I mean, it doesn't look very special, certainly not in this takeaway box, but I'm sure it's going to taste delicious because it smells amazing. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to get at is that you have options. There are plenty of options available to you if you still want to vacation in this destination because that's what you're familiar with and most comfortable with, but you don't want to do the theme parks because you're concerned about the constructions and the crowds and just not having the experience that the price tag should come with, you know? And I think that's something that you don't hear people talk a whole lot about because there's this very specific idea of what a Disney vacation looks like, but it doesn't have to look like that. Just like with anything else, you can mold it to look the way you want it to look so that it works best for whatever it is you're working with, whether it's a matter of money, time, needs, wants, whatever the case may be. This isn't just one thing that has to be enjoyed in one way. You can enjoy it in so many other ways as well. And honestly, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Now, you know, the flip side of this is that you don't visit Walt Disney World at all. You take a break. Take a year or two off. Honestly, it doesn't make any difference to me. I know some people accuse me of trying to sell you on visiting the Walt Disney World Resort. I honestly don't care what you do. Do whatever works best for you. I'm not a travel agent. I don't got any skin in the game. I'm just trying to help you figure out how to do what it is that you want to do in a way that works best for you. And while that might mean visiting Walt Disney World in a way that is different from what you normally might do, it also might mean not visiting at all. And that's fine. I frankly think that this is a perfect excuse to do some things that you might not do otherwise. Maybe be a tourist in your own city. Get creative. Do something like eating around the world in your hometown or in the tri-state area or, you know, whatever works best for you. There are a lot of different ways that you can spend your time and there are a lot of great ways to make use of your time off. And I think that this is a perfect excuse to explore one of them or maybe even many of them if actually visiting Walt Disney World during this period of time isn't right for you. Now, for me, I would probably skip Disney until all the dust settles. There's just so much going on right now that for me, the price of a Disney vacation, it seems a little bit too high for what you're getting. And I mean, I say that given the current state of things, that's not even taking into consideration what it's gonna look like when more of the things that are supposed to go down for renovation and construction go down. So that's something that if I were in a position that I've been in many times throughout my life where I didn't live here and it was a big to-do to make my way down, I would definitely be thinking long and hard about. But you know, like I always say, every family's different. Every family has different wants and needs. And there are still plenty of ways to enjoy this vacation destination if this vacation destination best meets the needs and wants of you and your family. Of course, as per usual, we'll be here, walking you through it, telling you all the things that you want and need to know so you can prepare for your trip either way. But I want to hear from you. If you were trying to decide if a Disney vacation was right for you during this time frame, you know, with everything that's going on, with all the construction and with the quality, which we've been talking a little bit about recently, would you be planning your vacation? Would you be holding off? Would you consider doing a vacation at the Walt Disney World Resort that didn't look like a traditional Disney vacation, you know, taking advantage of things like fireworks cruises, maybe golfing? I'd love to hear all your thoughts and suggestions in a comment down below. Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. And thanks, of course, for hanging out with me today. I hope you had fun wandering around Port Orleans Riverside and making our way over here from Disney Springs. Where do you want me to explore next? Where do you want to go hang out? Tell me your suggestions in a comment, and maybe that's where we'll have our next discussion. Until then, stay cool, and see you guys soon. Bye.